Deleted session, May 1, 1978. Good evening. Let us begin slowly. First of all, what have you done recently that was of benefit in your situation? Which of your efforts paid off, so to speak? The things that paid off, the things that were indeed quite effective, were these, again? Your chair's suggestion. Remind me to return to that, for I have not mentioned some other reasons why I would like it straight. It being the chair, the table in the kitchen, with all of the implications of additional cooking and the environment. Your remark, Rob noted last week. They said that Rupert's face looked much better than it did in those old photographs. Your bringing in the flowers, your love making, which I will discuss, and Rupert's point of power exercises. The pendulum work was important because of the togetherness it entailed, the joint determination it symbolizes, and Rupert's decision to uncover any or all fears rather than hiding them. The points I have mentioned were highly effective, and they were the most easily and naturally accomplished. I will return to them in a short time. They led Rupert into periods of time in which he enjoyed simple pursuits, the making of a meal, for example. The impetus further led him around the kitchen, usually in a chair, but often to take steps in a different way from one point to another. He was reacting to new stimuli, as is natural for the body. He stretched just about every muscle in a new way, and made new demands upon the body that the body quite agreeably tried to meet. He tried out new motions, getting up and down for the stool, for example, without his table, and Saturday he reaped certain benefits, getting up surprisingly easy often, and gaining some new confidence. In between, there were periods of body soreness in one area or another, which he and you handled well. Remembering what I said. Your love-making, as you found to your surprise, led to a sudden, though momentary enough, accident release of Rupert's trunk. There are sessions hidden away. That should have explained that episode. However, I will discuss those reasons now. They have to do with communication and with your individual and joint ideas of how feelings are to be communicated, and above all, about your beliefs as to which feelings are to be communicated. First of all, again, the situation, the living situation you have chosen means that you both place a good many demands upon the other. That in a family situation, for example, might be disparate. Each of you then must meet many needs of the other. You are to be mate, lover, friend, companion, working colleague, each to the other. You are with each other constantly. With that as background, what do you think about communication? Basically, Rupert is verbal. Basically, he is highly affectionate. He believes in communicating through words, and he believes particularly in communicating in a positive manner. He does not believe in communicating disapproval or aggression. The reasons, as given many times, lie in his background, where it was not safe to express disapproval or aggression. He equates silence with disapproval. He does believe in communicating love verbally and through touch. Whether or not sexual feelings specifically are involved. Now, my fine-feathered friend, you never really trusted the verbal expression of feelings, where you trusted the verbal expression of ideas. You were particularly distrustful of the verbal expression of love, tenderness, or devotion. You felt it imperative to verbally express dissatisfaction or disapproval, generally. Now, that is how words were used by your parents. You felt that love and devotion should be understood, and that they did not need to be stated. In a way, Both of you meant different things by communication, and used it to express only part of the spectrum of your feelings. It is Rupert's nature to yell at the cat, but he feels the noise upsets you, a small point but important. In the past, you felt that the touches of affection were ambiguous. You did not know what to do with them, or whether or not they should lead to a sexual encounter. Rupert enjoys you combing his hair, because then you are touching him. The latest bedroom encounter took Rupert by surprise. He was unhappy with some attempts he had made in the kitchen, and after some due consideration decided in this new mood of openness to discuss his feelings. He expected some understanding, mixed perhaps with mild exasperation. Suddenly, however, the wells of love within you opened. Uncritically, he felt that and was moved, as always. But for all your talk about wanting to help him too, you seldom take the initiative in that regard. This time, you began to caress him. The response was immediate, spontaneous, and as complete as the moment, and his physical condition allowed. Many people spend hours, now and then, caressing each other's bodies, massaging each other, or simply relaxing in such a way, whether or not a sexual encounter occurs or is expected. Each person needs that kind of touch. Love expressed through touch, in whatever way, has a reviving effect upon the body and the mind. It restores the spirits. In Rupert's particular case, it speaks volumes. It was easy to see how the body could respond, and only provides a hint of what such future episodes could bring. Healing through touch of hands. Why is it ever effective? It happens spontaneously when no healers, per se, are involved. Millions of times, any time a body is touched with love, compassion, and understanding, the organism instantly responds. Now let us look at yesterday. Ram noted Sunday. They said morning. And for background, remember the bodybuilders who purposefully shut out all annoying distractions. You began your day, first of all, by verbally expressing your dissatisfaction about the late delivery of the paper, by projecting into the future the late delivery of it for a year, and then by discussing critically and in disapproving tones the educational system and so forth. It is legitimate enough, but whatever other feelings you might have had of a more positive nature you did not express, and so your day began on that note. Other people would read the same paper, yet all of them react in their own ways. If peace of mind is a goal, if it is, the late delivery of the paper is ludicrous. It is not allowed to color your day in such a way. The bodybuilder would dismiss it without a thought. Now, the bodybuilders and the sports teams have coaches who remind them constantly of the goal in mind and arouse their enthusiasm. They say there are odds, but we will beat them. You need to be your own coaches in that respect. Take your break. Now, there is nothing particularly wrong about your expressing your disapproval of the world or whatever. You inhibit the expression of feelings of love, approval, devotion, and this means that your verbal communications are largely now of a disapproving nature. Rupert needs approval. He needs the verbal expression of love and affection, not only in regard to his work, which he appreciates immensely, but in terms of his person. He used to try to trick into such remarks. Sometimes he pleaded, and finally he decided they were simply against your nature, and so he must forget it. You will go out of your way not to give such approval by making a joke or whatever, because you did not believe that verbal communication should be used for such purposes. It made you feel inadequate, fearful of falling into cliches, or worse, trite expressions. It is good that naturally, at least, rubor is given to such expression, though that is not followed through as spontaneously as it could be. Rubor, however, feels that it is not safe to express disapproval, the opposite of your habit, and so he feels frightened to some extent because your verbal expressions are so often of that nature. Even if they are not directed to him, and he inhibits his own expression of any disapproval he feels, or frustrations. Lately, he has made an effort to speak out. Now, use of the chair is important because it does increase his mobility in this stage, but also because it exercises the knees while the rest of the body is in a comparatively normal position with the back, shoulders, and head fairly upright. It also provides exercise to the feet without the weight imbalance that presently operates when he walks. Activity in the important neck and shoulder areas has increased, so that the eyes have been highly variable in their behavior. Part of this becomes more noticeable as he looks upward more, say in the cupboard, and as he changes the positions of his neck far more often. I told you that the knees and the eyes were connected, and again the head towers will help. If you fully trusted what I am telling you, you would understand that activity changes even as the muscles in the legs might be different from one day to another. Give us a moment. The eye condition is not separate, and now the more active muscles are arousing greater activity on the part of the ligaments, which will begin to loosen the joints considerably. The neck ligaments are involved here. They are moving constantly, releasing the muscles leading to the eyes, and making adjustments. When rubor relaxes, he does not stare so, and the relaxation periods are of great benefit to the eyes. After Saturday, both of you became frightened again, and your joint beliefs and habits of pessimism, to some extent at least, meant that you began to doubt the gains that had been made. This morning's pendulum session, while helpful for the general reasons given earlier, was also, however, more of an exercise in what is wrong again, and was not followed by any constructive suggestion at all. I would like both of you to read the chapter on affirmation, Ram noted, in personal reality. Say it and to keep it in mind daily. You, incidentally, are afraid of expressing verbal states, etc., for fear of being made to feel a fool because your background with your father was so loaded with such connotations. The pendulum should be used to uncover feelings, to allow feedback between portions of the self, but mostly as a way of implanting new knowledge and constructive suggestions and feelings of safety to the subconscious. Your encounter with Dino, Ram noted tonight, said was beneficial, because it allowed for expressions of friendliness on all of your parts, and the suspension of disapproving attitudes. I want you to follow the advice in the chapter mentioned, and unless you have questions, that is it for the evening. Ram said, I guess not. Say said, I wanted you to know what you did right, and use that knowledge to structure your current behavior. Framework to operate beautifully when you let it, as per your suggestion about the chair and the kitchen table. Those are examples, and there will be many more if you keep this in mind. A fond good evening. Ram said, thank you, Seth. They said one additional point. Rupert can indeed recover. Not only that, but his recovery can be fairly easy. But your joint habits of pessimism color your attitudes. It is as if the team coach shouted, "Try as hard as you can, but we will probably lose, because that is the way it is." Now, you have begun to change that attitude. Simply keep in mind those significances. Notice how you are focusing. The bodybuilder does not think he is inhibiting his expression if he chooses to focus on his bodybuilding to the exclusion of distractions that may be quite real, but detrimental to his purpose. Feelings of pessimism regarding Rupert's condition are detrimental. You both did very well on many occasions recently, so try to duplicate versions of the behavior I told you was helpful, and focus in those directions. The old coach bows out for the evening.